Hello and welcome to my first emergency podcast here at DC Alliance. I don't know if this is the first official emergency podcast at all.
Clay,
Um,
there's a movie that was announced.
oh,
That
true,
got an
true. Yeah,
emergency.
that was an emergency podcast.
I think
Back
there might
in
have been maybe four, and then we use them as point fives, and then I think we stopped doing that.
yeah, true. That's right. You started using the point five method, and we just stopped. But of course, Heinz is with me. Heinz, I wanna ask how you doing. But well, you know what? I haven't really gotten more than just you jumping into a hurricane of uh of what was Twitter this afternoon. Um Real quick thoughts before we jump into all this. How'd you feel jumping on Twitter today?
It was quiet for most of the day on Twitter, in our GUA chat, and you know, Clay, I was out essentially cooking on the barbecue two very wonderful steaks, had some taters and gravy ready for the side dish, just ready, just excited after a long day of work. And unfortunately, I get into the chat just after I was flipping the steaks for the one time. I'll check the chat just for a minute, get out my phone, and it exploded. And Batgirl was canceled. And I was like, this is no, this is not real. And I posted the GIF of Troy from Community coming in, and everything was on fire. That's how it felt in the chat. And then I had to take another 15-minute break to take the steaks in and eat my supper. And then when I jumped back into the chat, it was ketchup, and it was crazy. I don't even know how to explain this. A lot of this doesn't make sense to me. I had a tweet that I'll talk about a little bit later that I really think sums this up for me. Anyway, this doesn't make any sense, even financially. If you weren't going to, like, you could cut a lot of marketing losses and just put this on a streaming service. Now, the fact that it's not going there will lead a lot of credence to HBO Max folding into Discovery Plus, and that being the streaming service. So I don't know what is going on here, especially when Zaslav said a couple weeks ago to a couple months ago that they want to put more features out on film, and then you don't do that with this one. Uh, I don't know, Clay. I question a lot here, and I think I know where you're coming from, but we're gonna have to get into this a little bit.
Yeah, this is an emergency podcast. You guys know where to find us. You know all about the GUA. We're not gonna, do a whole hubbub about all that. I
We
think
could give them
if
a quick rundown of Monday, Slice of Film and Ranger Alliance. Tuesday, DC Alliance. Wednesday, Superhero Discussions. Thursday, Star Wars Alliance. Friday, Marvel Alliance. Saturday, bi weekly as they walk through the multiverse. And Sundays is World's Finest True Believers with Chris Belga. DC Alliance, Marvel Alliance, and Star Wars Alliance all go live on the Geekverse YouTube channel Monday nights, Thursday nights, and Wednesday nights. And all three of those shows also have their own podcast feeds. Search Marvel Alliance, DC Alliance, or Star Wars Alliance if you just want that content. But if you want all 8 shows that I just said, stay subscribed to the Geek Ultimate Alliance on your podcast app of choice. We also have a Patreon, 2 tiers, $1 tier and a $5 tier. And we have a ton of shows on there for the $5 tier, and we're greatly appreciative of anyone that's a patron. Clay, that's the quickest rundown I've ever done. Let's go from here.
yeah, um, guys, this is not going to be a fun podcast to do whatsoever because
I'm trying
I'm
to
going to go ahead.
smile. I'm trying to
I'm
smile.
I'm going to go ahead and say this. There was already talks about this, and the listeners know I am not the most positive person on this podcast. But I do love DC. Everybody knows that. I have been very passionate about it, and I've talked about it. SBub has made some memes about me at my worst of times and at my best of times. Um, I don't know if he's going to make any tonight, but this has got to be one of the worst of times. I when we were talking off air a couple months ago, or not even a couple months ago, the whole thing with me about to be a father, babies coming along. I do need to step back a little bit. I'm doing it for a month, and so the conversation came up of, hey, do you need longer, or do we need to cut back on maybe one whole show and maybe you just stick with Ranger Alliance and things like that? when Batgirl was when this started coming up on Twitter, um, it's like my whole back was cured, man. I couldn't feel a thing other than rage. Um,
The
it,
power of anger.
I know, dude. It is absolutely insane. How does this even fucking happen, man? This movie is completed. I believe it was, I can't remember who shared it, if I shared it or whatever. This movie was basically a week away from finishing, like completely, was a week away from finishing completely. And now it's just gone. $70 million thrown away. Hey, we're gonna save some money. Let's just burn everything. And everybody's like, "Oh, it's not about the money; it's about sending the message." What kind of message? What message is that? The
We're
message
idiots.
of, "Hey, we have a female Hispanic lead. We have one, resurgence of an actor that has been completely burned in Hollywood already once, and let's just say fuck them and throw that whole movie away." Because I've said this plenty of times. Keaton, meh, that's not the draw for me. Leslie Grace was the draw. That is the entire reason why I was excited for Batgirl. And you shared it in our GUA chat. She is most likely devastated. She has taken this picture that we have behind us here, her debut of the suit. She has already deleted that off of her Instagram completely.
And
She
she
is
was so
saying,
excited to be in, like, her and Sasha Kai were talking about, like, in the future roles together. And
exactly. She went to freaking hospitals in the suit. She was excited about this role, completely in the trash. How I do not understand. Hey, the only way we can save money is to throw away the money we've already spent. That makes no fucking sense. You're the accountant guy. You're the money guy. Hines, make it make sense.
Espeth says she actually didn't delete it, but she unpinned it from her profile. So even that was doing something. Clay, can't. I can only make it make sense of it not being theatrical. I can't make sense of it completely being canceled. I can't financially. Just thinking about this after the sunk cost that's already put into the project and having a HBO Max there, this only makes me think that HBO Max is not going to exist for much longer. That's the first thing that's going to be, because then this is not something that they want on Discovery. This doesn't fit the Discovery mold of things. So I'm a little confused, but Zazov's also said that you can just pump your streaming service full of reality TV at cheap cost to make, and people will purchase the product. That's what they've done for Discovery. So I guess that's exactly what he's like. That is
And
exactly
that is another rumor. We'll talk about that rumor more in detail on Monday, considering their call for, what is it called? Their
their uh, earnings call.
earnings call is going to be this Thursday.
Which this will clarify a bit of stuff. We'll get that. This is
Oh, I
why we
don't, I
wanted to
don't, I
go
don't think
live
it's
now. This
gonna.
is initial thoughts. Maybe we'll get some more things uh, uh, in the next coming days to make this make a little more sense. But right now, initially, Clay, I can you make it make sense? So before we get into the deadline article, can you?
No, I absolutely cannot, because I said this. You know, for somebody, and I know Brent's gonna love this. I am I'm tired of Batman and most of things, and I have a Batman podcast. Uh, and the reason why, let me just go ahead and throw that at you guys. The reason why I have a Batman podcast is because one of my best friends that I used to work with, um, he wanted to get into podcasting, and the only thing he ever wanted to talk about was Batman, live action, animation, comics, everything Batman, podcasts, like the audio dramas and stuff like that. And so he had no experience in podcasting. I did. He asked me to be a co-host. I said yes. And because we had good chemistry and we met at a comic book shop, we decided, hey, this works for us. Let's go ahead and just keep it going. I love stories of Batman, but I don't like the quantity that DC pushes Batman. I think it's a little ridiculous. I think you could slow it down and make those quality stories that can test the test time, basically. Because in my mind, if you push out 1,000 stories of Batman, there's probably only going to be a handful of good stories. That's my way of thinking.
We already got
And
one good story for me anyway this year.
and and the thing is, that's the DC and WB way of thinking. Batman sells no matter what. Like you can, Batman porn, whatever, Batman coloring books, whatever. Batman sells.
Wait, but no. We're not. We're
No,
taking a moment here. No,
I
we are taking one moment for a second. You immediately went before coloring books, before anything else that says sells. You went Batman porn. That's the first thing you went. Not Batman toys, not Batman comic books, not
I'm tell
Batman. You went Batman
hey,
porn,
don't
dude.
kink
What are
shame.
you? What are you
Don't
doing? What are you doing?
don't kink shame. Don't
Just
kink
trying to
shame.
see you're coming from this as a consumer. That's what it sounds
As
like. That's all.
as a consumer, as a, you can see right there, one of the things that I never thought I was going to buy is right there is the Batman manga, because for one, the art I think sucks, but it's a piece of media that I was getting into, manga, and I was like, DC has stuff, let me try it out. And out of all of the DC stuff that manga has put out, it's only been Batman driven. So like there's the Batman manga, and then there's Batman and the Justice League. It doesn't say Justice League, it's Batman first. So that way it's up high in the alphabetical arrangement in stores and everything else. So it's right there. Batman, like they will make an Outsiders comic, but they won't call it the Outsiders. They'll call it Batman and the Outsiders. They'll make other properties, but they'll always make sure Batman is in the title first, because that's what, like, there's a book called Urban Legends. It's called Batman Urban Legends. There's a Gotham Knights book. They call it Batman Gotham Knights. As a Batman porn consumer.
That's exactly what I thought as well, Joe, when he said, as a consumer.
Oh
Clay,
shit.
because
No,
Batman
but
does
that's what I
sell.
mean. That's what I mean. You could throw literally Batman's symbol, cowl, cape, belts, whatever in any media and it will sell. And I don't get this whole bullshit of, oh, these movies have to be an event. This what do you know? Keaton is in this movie as Batman. It was already going to sell. It was already going to sell.
Clay, the internet kind of exploded for a second when we got a mural from this, and same thing when we saw her costume for the first time. So I think, like I said, I can't make sense of just discarding the movie. I can't, like, why not put it on HBO Max? Why not draw it to more people there? Only reason I can see is because you're not continuing HBO Max. And the Deadline article, there isn't much here at all from Justin Kroll. It says, even though Batgirl is in the final stages of post production, like Clay said, 10 days, I think you said, Deadline has confirmed that Warner Brothers and DC Films will not be releasing the movie on any platform, including theatrically. This falls in line with the mandate put down by the new WB regime to cut back on the feature films premiering on the streamer and deciding which films will be released theatrically and which will be shelved. And the sources close to the project say word came down this week that Batgirl did not make the cut. I think that one thing I want to say is, because Leslie Grace unpinned the thing, her picture, I think that I think that they only found out today. I really do. I think that
It's
they only
horseshit,
found
man.
it today,
Yeah.
which is super sucks. WB, Warner Brothers had no comment. WD, the film stars Leslie Grayson, obviously. As for the exact reason behind the shelving, sources say that they did not fall in line with the new strategy being implemented by DC Films as well as HBO Max. The studio is looking to make theatrical tentpoles with budgets at 90 million plus, and from early footage seen, this did not fall into place with that model. Batgirl was greenlighted at a 70 million budget, so I don't know how this makes sense unless they went way over budget. This decision follows several recent changes across the company, including major changes to HBO Max, with more expected in the upcoming earnings call later this week. And it said the New York Post first reported about the Batgirl news.
I just want to say Joe has been on a kick on this ever since he watched this movie this week. It's Roger Corman's Fantastic Four all over again. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong because
It's
now,
just
like
nobody knows what he's talking about, including
now
myself.
the only thing is no, the Fantastic Four movie that you have to go onto YouTube to watch. That's the movie he's talking about. The only
Oh,
difference is
okay.
you can go to YouTube to watch that movie. Do you know what? They should Deadpool the shit out of this. They should drop this movie somewhere. And you said it even in your tweet today that release the Batgirl movie or
I said
include
it
some
in the
other
GUA
hashtag.
chat, listeners first. I said it in the GUA chat to everyone. I was like, I guarantee you, we're going to see release the Batgirl or release the Batgirl cut or something, release the Batgirl. And after I said that, I clicked on my home feed and went down like 7 tweets, and there was someone already tweeting release Batgirl.
Yeah.
So
And
they're going to open up another can of worms. You're pissing off another fan base for no reason instead of putting this on HBO Max at the very least. It makes
at the
no
very
sense to me.
least, it literally does not. The movie is literally finished.
People would like that more, honestly, in my opinion, I think, to be able to watch it there. I don't think that would hurt it at all. And you could do separate deals with different streaming services because they always want content to put this out. Like uh No Way Home is on Amazon Prime here in Canada. We
So
do not have HBO Max. They could definitely sell this to Crave TV.
true. Snell just shared something in the chat saying, from viewer Anon, I've heard the Flash's actual budget is closer to 300 million than 200. It's not getting canceled or scrapped to be reshot. And here's
That
the thing: we said this before in our this last episode yesterday when we were recording it. There is too many positive words on Flash right now. They're not going to cancel it. And the bullshit thing about Batgirl, we've heard things, we've looked at screener details. The only thing that people were not really gung ho about on Batgirl was the fact that Keaton was in there because it was confusing. They didn't know why. And we talked about it. The only reason why that is because they haven't seen what happens in the Flash.
Well, the directors didn't know. I was just want to say, Patreon boy says weird. The Flash didn't get shelved first. Is because of the sunk costs, or 300 million, almost 300 million into the Flash, and I don't know how you're going to write that off as bad debt or anything like that. So that's going to hang on your company for a long time. So you have to put that out. I understand the people being mad, but it's just
And
finance reasons.
here's something
Even
that
I can't make 70 million make sense of just throwing away in bad debt, let alone 300.
yeah, 300 million, that's ridiculous. You should never just literally just say, let's see how flammable 300 million is.
It's like the Joker when he stole that money and just set it on fire. That's what it feels like right now.
Well, that's
Like,
what Kroll said. Kroll said he put the gift there saying, "Hey, this is what Zaslav is doing. It's not about the money. It's the message that I want to change things." And you did it with the wrong fucking movie. I'm sorry.
yeah, like
Like you just like it is so stupid. SPub says right here in the chat, the only possible upside to this is that unites the DC fandom into spamming WB alongside the Snyder fans. And I will say this: as long as there's no death threats, go right fucking ahead. This, and I've heard people say, "Oh, the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to spam WB." No, the movie's fucking finished. It's one thing for Snyder to had so many other meetings and then convince them to finish the movie. No, this is literally already finished.
well, it's the same thing. They were in post production. It's just they were at a different level of post production. But still, once you finish filming, you have like that's the standard thing in Hollywood. Is once you finish filming, once you start, you usually never stop. But once you're finished, you put out the product in at the very least to save some cost. If you got to put it out on VHS, regardless, you do that. It's just what happens. Like you try to recoup some losses. This is why this doesn't make any sense to me. You could sell it to other streaming services. You could put it on. You could make some money from that.
Yeah. Caleb Richardson says, I'm completely done with the DCEU at this point. DCWB has no plan, and everything they do is reactionary. I'm boycotting everything that is not Matt Reeves and the CW's Superman and Lois. Now, Caleb, I will say this. I think Zaslav has a plan, however idiotic it may be. There is clearly something that he's wanting to do. Snell said today on his solo show that he is doing for the next 5 weeks called Travis Told You So. This is something that I had said. I predicted this months ago, maybe even closer to a year ago now. I said that once there is a finalized connection between WB and Discovery, the merger is complete, we're going to see a reboot of the DCEU. Now, when it got closer to the fact that Batgirl was finished filming and I was really getting behind Leslie being Batgirl, you asked me the question, if the reboot means that we don't get Batgirl, I said I don't want it. I don't want the reboot because it means that Blue Beetle, Batgirl, and all the newcomers into the DCEU would most likely get wiped away because logically, in order to reboot from step one, you can't play this. Oh, well, my movie technically is a reboot, but it's not a reboot. And I kind of want to keep the same things that mine does. And you can't play that. You can't play that because it still gets confusing for fans. I wanted Leslie Grace because of the representation that she has towards me. I want Blue Beetle for the exact same reason. Now, a lot of people are saying that because of this, Blue Beetle is most likely going to be cut. And I've said this in chat. I've had conversations with Hines. And unless our fans here at the GUA that listen to us, DC Alliance, unless they want me to stay and can really convince me to stay, I said this because Snell brought up a good point. Every new movie brings up some sort of hype. It brings up some sort of curiosity. Who's going to be who? What story are they going to do? Whatever. I think he's right. I think any kind of reboot that happens, it's going to be interesting to see. And I'm going to be interested to see it. I cannot be excited about a reboot if it means they're going to throw away Sholo as Blue Beetle. I can't.
It's tough too because if they want to do a reboot and you let these movies play out, that's the problem with keep continuing like to push the cart down the line further and further before you deal with it. If either of these two movies pop off, there'll be more people saying, "Don't reboot. We want to continue with this." So I just like I still don't understand how when you were even in negotiations, you wouldn't have said stop everything that's in production right now. Like that's the kind of thing you can do. It just I'm a little shocked here that this is going to happen.
And
And
Joe,
I can understand you with getting this. You were super psyched about both of these movies because of representation, and I can completely understand that. That would frustrate the hell out of me. I'll judge what I see, but it's because I've had 30. At my age 34. I've had 34 years of representation on the big screen. So like I can never understand where you're coming from and a lot of other people when you get excited to see somebody and represent you and your culture, and then if
and
it's
also
taken away from
I
you,
just
that
want
would
to say
really piss
this.
me off if it was me.
I want to say this because I know that you were in that chat with Snell's show, and a lot of people are going to bring this up also. The MCU still has Namor coming out. He is Namor is gonna be representing Mexicans in Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever. Here's the thing. I like Namor. He is on my list lower than Blue Beetle. Like that is just who I am as a fan of these characters. I'm not gonna pretend, oh yeah, I love Namor because he's Mexican. No, I'm not gonna do that. I love Blue Beetle because of the representation that he had from the very beginning. Namor, in his roots of being a creation of Marvel, is not that he's Mexican. It's for the fact that a Mexican actor is representing him now in this movie. That is okay. But Blue Beetle, all the way down to his roots, was always Hispanic, always Mexican. That is why I love him as a character. I'm always going to put him above everybody else because that's one of my favorite characters. And the reason why I mentioned the whole like if our fans want me to stay and everything else, because I've said it, like I cannot keep doing this show and faking excitement. It's hard. It is really hard. Yesterday's show, I was truly excited because it looked like positive things were coming out of the Flash and things could really be on the bright side for WB and DC. This is the complete opposite side of that coin. This is
Took 24
completely
hours,
opposite.
didn't it? Took
Less
24
than
hours.
24 hours.
Yeah.
Joe said this, but that is what DC does. New 52, everyone. Yes, it is. There's going to be a new Supergirl. There's going to be a new Batgirl if they decide to make those, because they're talking in our GOA chat right now. Sasha Kaye cannot look at the decisions that were made today and say, "Oh, I have a future with WB."
No, not at all. She has a contract signed with him, so there's no.
That doesn't mean anything.
No, I just mean like for her, she can't like preemptively exit or say, "Yeah, I'm out. I can't trust you guys." She's stuck in the conversation. And Joe, I just wanted to address, but Joe says Batman is fine. Superman and Lois could be in jeopardy though. CW ultimately has the first choice on that. It's not WBD greenlighting another season. They've sold the rights to the CW to make this show, so the network has the first right there to say if it continues on or not. It's not like the same thing with the Legends. That wouldn't WBD closing those shows. Those shows are ending because the CW network is crumbling at our feet. So that would be the reason why. Now you could get mad at WBD for not taking those shows and putting them on their streaming platform because the rights would revert back to them. So you can get mad with them then. But right now, Superman Lois could be in jeopardy, but it has nothing to do with anything we heard today.
Yeah, and we'll talk this last comment here from Caleb, and he did two comments. We'll talk these two, and then we'll jump into the Deadline article.
Well, that was it. I read that. It was so small.
Well, this one right here, I want the full reboot at this point.
No. Sorry.
Yeah, Caleb is saying, I just want a full reboot at this point, whether it's in the Matt Reeves Batverse or a clean slate. We need something new and fresh. The current DCEU is too convoluted to create a cohesive story. He also says, I see people being burnt out on Marvel and really hyped for DC. I'm the opposite. I'm so excited for Marvel, and the DCEU is just ... I just can't get hyped for it anymore. Brent also is in the chat. He's saying, reboot the entire damn thing. And I agree. But this is the problem.
Oh, no!
If they tell, yes,
please,
the
some
show,
listener get that, please.
The show reboot, you mean?
Yeah.
I love that show back in the day.
Yeah, you tap your chest twice to activate the icon. Reboot.
Now, I will say this. I had said when we talked about the possible stories of what Blue Beetle could be, I was against the idea of it being a solo movie to the point of not connecting too much to the DCEU. If I said I wanted it to be connected to the larger story, and it could be with it being its own story. But you said, oh, I don't think it's going to be attached too much at all, and you think it's going to be its own story. If that is the case, let it still happen, and let it be a part of the new slate of the DCEU reboot.
Well, that has a chance, Clay, because of that. If you don't like Michael Keaton here, Michael Keaton went today from, I read an article yesterday about him being excited to drop into the DCEU. He went from yesterday he had 3 appearances to 1. So he essentially, is cut completely out from under him. He has 1 movie now. So I don't know what.
Now, I do have to ask this, because I heard several people saying the same thing on Twitter today, and I want confirmation. I haven't heard anything. I don't think you have heard anything, but I would like to know. People were saying that Flash is indefinitely delayed. Have you heard this?
No, that's just you know what I've seen though is if like people we want Batgirl to come back. Yes, everybody.
I want to put this on the screen
gain,
just to say that Francesc Yort, he's saying, I think Batgirl is pure shit. It is so bad Warner won't spend $1 in marketing. Well, I think you're complete shit. So yeah, cool. Anyway, moving on. Uh, the whole thing with the Deadline article. Uh, we see this saying, and Kroll took was it a quote from here, or he was just making a comment that somebody from a rivaling studio messaged him and said that he has been in the business for 3 decades and this was unprecedented. For one, how fucking insane is that? That somebody from a rivaling studio, an executive from another studio, is making comments like, wow, that's a fucking stupid move. Now, again, Zaslav could be sitting on a fucking gold mine right now
I'm
with
gonna have to be
plan.
Captain America, aren't I?
What?
Language, language.
Oh, I mean, whatever. But the thing is, we are all calling Zaslav a complete idiot. We're calling him stupid. We're making all of these comments. I may be so wrong when it comes to this call on Thursday or what he and Horn are planning for the next 4 years. I may be completely wrong. We are reactionary right now. But again, we made the comments. When it comes to a movie that is literally already finished, you need to make money on something that you've already spent $70 million on. That's it. That is the final thing there. But this article says, even though Batgirl is in the final stages of post production, Deadline has confirmed that Warner Bros. And DC Film has not been releasing the movie on any platform, including theatrical. This falls in line with the mandated put down by the new WB regime to cut back on the feature films, something that you had mentioned earlier today. Um, Deciding which films will be released theatrically, this will be shelved. Batgirl did not make the cut. You said also Warner Brothers had no comment. Uh, I don't know, man. This and I'm starting to realize maybe you did already read off of
I
this.
did. There
Okay,
isn't anything there. I thought it was gonna be
okay,
a lot longer, but no.
yeah.
And essentially, Clay, I don't know what their plan is here. Even if it's a reboot, uh, like putting it out on HBO Max and saying this has nothing to do with anything. This is just we're rebooting everything, but still, like this is the hard work. We're going to put it out, and I bet you get more subscribers too. And also to the people saying that Batgirl is terrible and not watchable. Heard a lot of takes about that on a certain movie that kind of ranked pretty high for me after I ended up finally getting a chance to watch the movie. They said was unwatchable. So
So yeah,
everything I've
no.
heard about Batgirl from today about the story, what Brendan Fraser's character was going through, I think I was going to really enjoy that. Like you can tell me the suit looks low budget, but I mean, like I watched the Arrowverse for several years, so
Well,
you're not going to.
not only that, you need to understand that the whole point in the ideas of HBO Max original movies was that it's going to be low budget, that most of these films would probably get that low budget and then increase budgets with sequels. Like everybody thinks that every franchise starts with an end game. Why is that?
You
Like
you
there's
you
so many people
know
that think, "Oh, well now that we have Endgame, Batgirl should be on the same level."
I don't. I just thought that the Flash movie would be a perfect place to reset everything and start completely over, kind of like Justice League Dark Apocalypse War for the animated universe. You could just have Flash run and Flash and have the ending and then start completely over. But I understand not wanting to lose. That's why I was suggesting HBO Max for these to not lose them. But then you get a following. They're trying. They're just going about this very very stupidly, Clay. It doesn't. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm trying to wrap my head around it, and like, why would you want to go work for WBD now if your film can be canceled 10 days before when you only have 10 days left in post production?
Yeah.
Why
And
would you do that? Why would you sign on if you're talent, knowing that you bust your ass for that entire time and then you didn't get anything? What happens if you got kicks in the back end for if it performs well? You have multiple movie like options, and that's all thrown away. You be so burned you probably would never associate with them again. And bringing in people like Alan Horn are not going to do anything if you're burning the goodwill instantly. It took you less than 24 hours to burn that Alan Horn goodwill.
Well, not only that, but like, I mean, we'll go ahead and say it now. We'll talk more about it when we get the details on Thursday. But this whole idea of, hey, we're going to go ahead and scrap everything that is scripted on HBO Max. Why? You had amazing shows like True Detective and Game of Thrones, regardless of what people think of the last season. That show has been a phenomenon for HBO, for WB. Like, you can't just act like, oh, that 10-year span of Game of Thrones never fucking happened. Like, you literally cannot think like that.
I have a thought too now, Clay, that it just came in my head and I had to look it up because in 2019, Crave TV signed a deal with Warner to get things from their HBO Max library and put to their Crave TV, including the HBO channel, but also HBO Max originals. And they like part of the sale was the DC HBO Max originals. It's even listed here. Upcoming titles include DC comic series Green Lantern and Dune, and there's other listings of shows and potential things that we haven't even seen. So I wonder uh, if you keep if you keep doing that, will they go after you with a lawsuit, litigation? I I I, I don't know.
Can they? Like,
They
again,
they're
the idea.
breaking. The part of the thing was getting HBO Max originals, and you're not getting them because they're going to cut all HBO Max originals.
Yeah, essentially. And we made jokes when the merger was finalized. Uh, we had Animal Man doing uh, freaking African safaris and stuff like that. We were joking around. That's not what we want. The idea that Discovery is like, oh, we made all of this money on documentary stuff. That's not what HBO is. It's not what it ever was. And
Discovery's
you can
more like I told you to about reality TV than it is about
no, yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And trust me, Abby loves Bravo. She loves the housewife shows. She's got me on this kick on a TLC show. I will completely admit that I'm encumbered into this show that we are watching. But the thing is, my life isn't about reality TV. I don't give a shit about rich people's lives. I don't give a shit about most of reality TV. I watch the scripted, fantastical, the horror, the adventurous stuff that I love. That's what I want to watch. If you're going to tell me all of that is gone, I'm no longer a subscriber to your account.
Well,
You're
they're
no
talking
longer
about
giving me my.
getting rid of HBO Max, so it doesn't matter if like what content's put on there. It seems like they're just going to fold it in and not make any more new uh, scripted shows. Peck Trip Boy says maybe they wanted to make another version of Batgirl, so they shelved the movie, so they don't have another version to compare so close together. That makes sense. It's just like I said, it doesn't make financial
Why
sense. You have
why why make a
four Batman.
new why make a new Batgirl when we never had a Batgirl to begin with? This could have been your new Batgirl. This was going to
So
be
half
you
of all of
no,
those reality TV shows are
yes,
scripted.
the producers on these reality TV shows egg on all the fights that happen. They tell people what to say. Believe me, I understand. That's what reality TV is. But I just don't understand how idiotic of a choice you just made, WB. Like, I don't. It does not function in my brain at all.
Like content is so valuable. That's what I just don't understand. And you only had 10 days left just to drop it on HBO Max
And
before you reboot everything.
and I understand how people are like, "Oh, let's not get race into this, not do everything else." I understand that you can throw the money as the argument, but here's the thing, you can't throw the idea of money into the argument because Batman is involved. The fact that Batman is involved, you cannot throw the money argument in there.
It seems like the reboot argument is the strongest one that they're gonna. And if that's the case, you should see dominoes like Wonder Woman 3 fall. If you're gonna reboot, you got to reboot everything. Like now, Aquaman stuff like that is already scheduled to come out before Flash. I really feel like Flash could just wipe everything
So
clean and they start completely fresh. And I don't know about Blue Beetle Clay because I don't think there's that many nods to that. So maybe you could work around some dialogue and
So
easily
there's
play
two
that
things
off.
that I wanted to bring up. So first one, Snell just shared this. Viewer Anon just shared an article saying, "Oh, okay, if you're writing it off as tax reasons, that makes perfect sense. I am no longer bothered by this, and I can't imagine why anyone else would." And it says that it's going to be a tax write off now.
Why Warner Brothers? This is the article from Variety of why Warner Brothers killed Batgirl inside the decision not to release a DC movie. And the death of Batgirl on Tuesday sent immediate shockwaves through Hollywood. The film, with a $75 million budget that grew to $90 million due to COVID-related overages, had finished shooting months ago and was in test screenings as directors uh, worked through the post-production process. Star Leslie Grace had given multiple interviews expressing her enthusiasm at landing the role and working with co-stars Michael Keaton and J.K. Simmons, which is pretty big heavy hitters, and Brendan Fraser as Firefly. In other words, the movie was nearly finished and already building awareness among fans. Why would Warner Brothers Discovery throw this all away? Several sources noted that Batgirl was made under a different regime at Warner Brothers, headed by Jason Kilar and Ann Sarnoff, that was a singularly focused on building a streaming service, HBO Max. That effort included Kilar's famous decision to release studios at day and date, obviously pissing off some top tier talent, and with the studios rep with them, which is foolish when you do this decision. Even before David Zaslav took the reins of the newly formed Warner Brothers Discovery as CEO this spring, the exec went on a well-publicized listening tour designed to repair the company's relationship with the creative community. As part of the effort, Zaslav has made no secret of reversing Kilar's strategy and committing to releasing first-run feature films in theaters before putting them on HBO Max. And I will note that Batman had a lot of success on that. It was very successful for HBO Max as well as brought in money as well. So I can see why they focused on that. Batgirl found itself on the end of on the bad end of that decision. Apparently, neither big enough to feel worthy of a major theatrical release, nor small enough to make economic sense in increasing cutthroat streaming landscape, spending the money to expand the scope of Batgirl for theaters, plus the 30 to 50 million needed to market it domestically, and the tens of million needed more for a global rollout could have nearly doubled spending on the film, and insiders say that was a non-starter at a company's newly focused on belt tightening and on the bottom line. And obviously, spokespeople for Warner Brothers Discovery declined to comment. Releasing the movie on HBO Max would seem to be the most obvious solution. Instead, the company has shelved Batgirl along with Scoob sequel, and several sources say it will almost certainly take a tax write-down on both films, seen internally as the most financial sound way to recoup the costs, at least on the accountant's ledger. It could justify that by chalking it up to post-merger change of strategy. Doing so, however, would mean that Warner Brothers cannot monetize either movie. No HBO Max debut, no sale to another studio, nothing. So what the decision will cost the studio in creative capital, meanwhile, remains to be seen.
I still call bullshit.
I did a really good job that time. Not just kidding.
Yes. No, but I like, again, I understand that there's this whole thing with Zaslav being the money saver. It's complete bullshit and a waste of time and a loss of talent and a burning of bridges to do all of this just to say, hey, I want my 70 million back.
It's not even, you don't even get it back, really, Clay. It's basically just
No,
writing it off
no.
on future costs,
Yeah. Like,
future mistakes, things like that.
and with how Hollywood and the rich work, they're gonna bullshit that all the way to the bank. Like that's what they do.
It looks like we might never see it. If they do that. Uh, it will sleaziness is saying we just read that as well. Sleaziness just a second ago discussing film said it was canceled just now for a tax write-off. There's an article from Variety detailing it. I will put it in the chat for you guys to check out, and you can rewind it and go through it with us as we went through it and talked about it.
But also, there's one of the Faruqi brothers pointed something out, and I do want to share it here.
Thanks, man.
Sleaziness, thank you so much. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen now. One of the Faruqi brothers, Shiraz, says, with Batgirl canceled and WBD's focus on tent poles, here's my prediction on safe DC films. The Batman 2, Black Adam, Aquaman 2, Shazam 2, Wonder Woman 3, Joker 2. The things that are unsafe. Blue Beetle, Zatanna, Black Canary, Static Shock, Superman, Lois, Ta-Nehisi Coates, Superman, Our Man, and what is still question marked. I don't know why it's question marked, but The Flash. The Flash is happening. Now,
Can I say one thing? Very, I like Shiraz and I follow him. He's a great follow. Very weak to put Black Adam on there. Obviously, that's coming out. Like, we've seen 2 trailers for that, and they rolled Rock out into suit literally 2 weeks ago. So we're seeing that film.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I would not call Wonder Woman 3 safe.
Oh no, that's what I said. Especially if they're going to wipe the slate clean. I think like anything that's not started filming that isn't Joker 2.
I was just about to say, unless they are able to film Wonder Woman 3 in the next 4 months and doing post production and get it ready for a Q4 2023 release, not happening.
Well, it depends, because if they're focused on big releases, they saw the first film of this do crazy well. So it depends. Like, I don't know. I got to know a bit more of the plan to know exactly what they're doing here. But I would also say that I'm just looking at his list there now. The Batman 2 might be safe, but Clay, do you think the 2 shows that they were going to come out with, the Colin Farrell Penguin, and I don't know, I'm not confident that they're going to stay.
That's what I was mentioning in Snell's Travis told you so. He says Abrams has made a killing with WB deal for delivering nothing. Not bad. This is what we said when we covered that. He literally made how much money? Freaking shit. How much money did he make? Like $250 million for just sitting on his ass?
He's the Homer. When Homer thinks about what his life will be like when he robs a Quickie Mart, and he's sitting back in a rocking chair in a big mansion, swinging the gun with a sash, and Marge is dancing. That's what J.J. Abrams' life has been for the 5 years that he was had that contract.
So, right here, yeah, I was just about to bring it up. S-Bub saying, I'd say Code Superman is 100% finished. It was 100% finished, like months ago. I think that was just literally smoke and mirrors, just trying to do stuff. Now, I did hear that they were trying to convert it into something else, possibly like a reboot to the Superman franchise, but even that, I think that is just dead in the water. Now, I believe Coates already got paid for that, but I mean, it's dead.
I'll say it again: Superman and Lois. What is going on here doesn't side that. I don't think Nexstar is going to keep up with that. I'd say that's the most costly show that CW has right now. So that'll be the reason, not because of that. Oh yeah, on the game. 185,000,000% chance that the Green Lantern show is not happening.
Green Lantern show, Green Lantern movie, Green Lantern, nothing is coming out.
And we didn't get a cameo because they have.
I swear to God, I swear to God,
of the animated movie. Is that why we didn't get the Green Lantern cameo? Because
if I hear that the Green Lantern show or the Green Lantern movie is moving forward and they canceled Batgirl, fuck DC, fuck DBB, never purchasing anything ever again, because that's fucking bullshit.
You're basically going to do that if Blue Beetle's canceled.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Sleepiness, Gotham Knights show lives somehow because it's going to be super, super cheap to make for that network, and that's why I don't see Superman and Lois lasting after this season, even though I think it could. We'll see if they sell the rights to some other show, to some other streaming service like Netflix or anything, if they don't want to put it, if they do what they're planning to do with HBO Max.
S-Pub says HBO Green Lantern show was a social experiment to see how long people will stay expecting something that isn't being made. Lol.
Yeah, I feel bad for the actors that had to give some sort of thing on it and say, we can't speak about it, but we're good. Or the writers, they're finished writing it. Yeah, no chance of that. So Uh, yeah,
Oh,
Clay,
so
I
real quick, just because I know that he shared some thoughts on there. Charlie did share some thoughts on the posting that we did on Twitter. He said, if Blue Beetle gets chopped, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Same with the Green Lantern Corps. But I'm less surprised by that. You guys think some of these series, like Black Canary, still have a chance to see the light of day? What do you think?
I think Black Canary might because it's rather cheap to repurpose the scream effect from Birds of Prey and kind of get it better, and that's you can go at street level crime and not go heavy into the VFX. That one could continue. I don't. I Charlie, we just talked about it a second ago. I do not think that Green Lantern show is going to go, and it's so frustrating because an anthology series, a show like that would be fantastic, and to not do that is just so frustrating after like kind of teasing us to that and preventing us from seeing Green Lanterns on screen. Uh, I'm trying to think of other shows there's no other shows that were rumored. Wonder Twins was killed upon immediate arrival.
Do you know what? Do you know what was also? I just now remembered what was canceled due to a tax write off.
What?
Swamp Thing.
Oh yeah. Well, they got a season out of that.
Yeah, they did, but it got they started to throw all
They
that
didn't.
shit of
It wasn't because of tax write-offs, because of the expense of the show. The show was too expensive for DC Universe at the app at the time. The episodes because the quality was so goddamn good, and it just cost too much to make, and they had to just bail out of it. This,
Speak of the devil. At this point, just bring back the DC Universe streaming service if they really want to lose money.
what's that, S Bubs? What's that? Because it was rumored to go to Canada for a year later, and then we never saw the light of day. I had to use a VPN to even see it. And
But I
On the Game
mean,
says, when Blue Beetle was announced, did you think the MCU would beat DC to the punch in terms of a lead Latino superhero?
yes, and technically they still can because Namor, as of right now, is an antagonist or a villain. So
We'll have to see if he is one of the leads or if he's like,
now, and again, in the comics, Namor plays all sides of the fence. He
yeah,
is the villain. He is the good guy. He is the anti-hero. He
sounds like
plays.
sounds like Nimbus. Rick and Morty fans.
He can do whatever. But I was, and I'm still really hoping for Blue Beetle to come out. SPUB says, "R.I.P. DC Universe. You lived long for 2 years."
S Bubs, the animated content on there was very very convenient. I must say, as someone who did the Batman the animated series and Superman the animated series, it was very convenient to have that on there. Clay, I think we'll be back Monday to talk about this more when we get more news from the call, and obviously some more things will come out throughout the week. Maybe we'll get a comment from WBD in the next day or two. It was good to get this out, the airing of the grievances for my Seinfeld fans.
Yeah,
Hopefully, Blue Beetle does not bite the dust because it sounds like Clay is going to disappear from DC existence if that
I
happens.
I really love doing this show because I love DC. And you can ask any of my other DC Comics friends. Like, I hate read a lot of stuff because I still love DC and I really want them to go back to the way they were. I want there to be good stories. And same here. I want DC movies to do good. But when there's asshats running around saying, "Hey, this is how I think these movies should be run," and start canceling everything, then they're fucking idiots. Like, I'm sorry. That's like the fifth time that I've said the F word, but this is how it is. Sleaziness, I still need to read it. It's on my list for tonight. I'm gonna read it tonight. I know that there was Sword of Azrael, and then there was also another book that came out with Azrael as well.
Yeah.
Again, Batman books always they're always coming. They're always going to be there. So why
That was a
wasn't
potential
Batgirl a
replacement for Batman, which is a pretty interesting story. I thought now you'd
well,
never see him in live action, I don't think.
oh, I think I
I don't
think
I don't think
if
they're
the
competent enough to get long enough into a story where you need a replacement for Batman. I don't
yeah, no
know.
shit. Uh but I will say this
Hope you
that
enjoy it as well. Sleaziness, he said he just got it today.
oh yeah, because I'm Tuesday DC drops on Tuesdays. I think that if they were competent enough, with the climate, with Christianity and everything, I think that Azrael would be a very interesting story to be told on screen. But like you said, I don't think they could even get anywhere close to making it right now. Be funny if the head of Arrowverse, Greg Berlanti, is put in charge of the revamped DCE. Not happening.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a heavy enough hitter in film to be recruited for some kind of role like that. Potentially, though, or maybe given a project in there, because there was rumors of that back when he was running the DCCW. And I can't completely because he ran a connective universe. He brought in shows and kept connecting, and not. Honestly, I watched the shows. There wasn't that many times that they contradicted each other, or obviously you'd think like, why don't you call Flash to come help you, or Supergirl? But for the most part, they navigated that well of building out and inserting new properties. But I'm in agreement with Clay too, like of that movies are a whole other can of worms than the DC shows on the CW.
Yeah, and then some friends of ours on another podcast just wrote a tweet saying, "So you guys still wondering why we decided to quit doing a weekly DC movie news show? Starting to feel it now."
Thank you, guys.
We will see you guys on Monday.